Things that are not events to neurotypical people can be OCD sufferers' worst nightmares. Hang on. Better. I once stayed with a friend after traveling. The pipes were frozen, so I couldn't shower. My I can't shower after traveling is most people's I fell in mud. I freaked out, got mad at my friend, and said things I regret, which I'll fix if I ever get a time machine. This is an explanation, not an excuse, but I have severe OCD. In the last 6 months alone, I've had 3 different issues with my skin and fingernails due to excessive hand washing. I'm lucky to still have a hand. I wash my hands dozens of times a day, not just after using the bathroom or before preparing meals, but also after touching anything that hasn't recently been washed or disinfected. After recording this, I'm going to wash my hands just because I unplugged my mic. Germophobia is one of many possible OCD symptoms, which fall under 2 categories. 1. Obsessions, or unwanted, intrusive thoughts, urges, or mental images that cause strong anxiety. And 2. Compulsions, or repetitive actions or mental rituals you feel you must do to ease or get rid of the obsessions. So obsessions are itches, and compulsions are scratches. An obsession might be doubting you turned off the stove, and a compulsion might be repeatedly checking it to make sure. To quote Cleveland Clinic, common obsessions include fear of germs, dirt, or body fluids. My top 3 fears. Fear of hurting yourself or others. I worry about turning into a kaiju. Strong need for order, neatness, or symmetry, and fear of making mistakes. I care about neatness, except for my hair. Worry about offending a higher power or about what's right and wrong. I am pretty lawful neutral. Doubting your partner's attraction or love. This doesn't apply to me. I'm pretty gullible. Fear that something terrible will happen because of you. One reason I don't drive anymore. Unwanted, intrusive sexual thoughts that feel disturbing or out of character. Does being a fat fur count? Focus on body sensations or automatic functions like breathing or heart rate. Like when I try and fail to meditate. Meanwhile, common compulsions include putting items in a very specific order until it feels right. When I carried cash, I sorted bills by denomination, then by serial number. Constantly making sure nothing bad happened, you didn't make any mistakes, and everyone's safe. I check every video until I'm sick of my own voice. Belief that your thoughts or actions can cause real-life events, even when there's no logical connection. This doesn't apply to me, though when I was a little kid, I worried that trees could read my mind. Saying words, phrases, or prayers in your head while doing unrelated tasks. I do that, though I don't know if it's OCD, Tourette's, or both. A behavior or mental act performed to prevent a feared outcome. No wonder I catastrophize. Doing things over and over, like tapping, walking through doors, or repeating actions a certain number of times. I usually don't engage in repetition for its own sake, but I love the number 3. Repeatedly washing your hands, objects, or household items. I probably spend even more on soap than food. Speaking of washing, the pandemic made my OCD even worse. The world went from scary to terrifying. Starting just before Thanksgiving 2020, I spent 8 straight weeks without setting foot outside my apartment. And not because I couldn't squeeze out the door. On the rare occasions I went outside before and after, I didn't just mask up. I wore long sleeves, rubber gloves, and a face shield. I would have also worn a hazmat suit if there were one big enough. Even now, years later, whenever I come home, I immediately toss my clothes in the hamper, disinfect my phone and glasses, and shower. Side note, I wonder if I could pull off the sexy librarian look. Anyway, that's why I hated when people said during the pandemic that OCD sufferers were lucky. That's like if a loud ambulance is going by, and you tell your friend, "Good thing you're deaf." To be clear, my issues stem from not only OCD, an anxiety disorder, but also OCPD, a personality disorder. These conditions differ in 3 major ways. Told you I love the number 3. 1. Not all OCD sufferers obsess over perfection. By contrast, all people with OCPD have, to quote Cleveland Clinic again, an extensive preoccupation with perfectionism, organization, and control. They make the worst bosses. 2. Even when OCD sufferers do obsess over perfection, it's simply out of a fear of making mistakes. By contrast, people with OCPD are perfectionists because they have rigid beliefs and specific ways of doing different tasks, don't allow for any flexibility, and are unable to compromise with others. I could be flexible, if I'm ordered to be. And 3. People with OCD usually are aware the condition is causing their behavior, and accept they need professional help to treat it. By contrast, people with OCPD often don't realize their behavior and way of thinking are problematic. Perhaps because people with OCPD usually appear confident, organized, and high-achieving, and their exacting standards may even benefit them in certain jobs, like ones in law. That's why I only recently decided to talk to my therapist about OCD. I conflated OCD with OCPD and thought that getting treatment would make me bad at my job, like when Monk took meds. But OCD and OCPD are two different things, and if either of them is causing a problem for me, I should let my therapist know. I hate changing, admitting my flaws, or asking for help. But even more, I hate the idea of continuing to hurt myself and others. I'm going to break the wheel, is something I would have said before Game of Thrones ended. As with depression and anxiety, I can't just power my way through OCD. I thought I could, since Mom acted like I could. When I was a kid, she got upset at me for washing my hands too much, and often told me, germs can't exist on a dry surface. 1. Wrong. And 2, I can't logic my way out of a mental health issue. The most common OCD treatments aren't life hacks, they're therapy and medication. For instance, there's exposure and response prevention, or ERP therapy, which helps you face fears without doing compulsions. Not to be confused with inversion therapy. I was terrified of my children being harmed, so I stabbed them. Didn't hurt me that much. So at the risk of sounding like a big pharma ad, talk to your healthcare provider about OCD treatment. Real quick, I want to show off some lovely fan art. First, by Burner Phone, a pic of me doing my signature smirk and point. And second, by Big Chalky, a couple pics of me, including one with a pen and clipboard. Links in description to their galleries. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe for more neat and tidy videos. If you have OCD, leave a comment about your experience. And remember, if you're lucky enough to have mental health care, don't let it go to waste.